From the countless films and TV shows being released over the years with reviews from critics and the public circulating, knowing what I know about films, I thought I'd go through why a show or film failed or succeeded. Believe it or not, there are rules when it comes to storytelling for the purpose of ordered structure and just the whole plot making sense. It's a lot more than keeping interested in the story. So if you like this review and you are or would be interested in seeing more of these reviews and breakdowns, let me know what you think and make sure you hit the like button for the mathematical geniuses of YouTube. And stick around if you enjoyed seeing this film or why you thought it was good or bad. I'd really like to know another point of view. Since I finally got some time to watch and review Skydance Animation Studios' first dip into the animation film Luck, it honestly surprised me in terms of how the structure of this film was laid out and who thought it was a good idea to create this film at all. Speaking from someone who has been placed as a quarterfinalist in a couple film competitions, I don't want to seem like I know everything about the storytelling world, but I do know that this film has many bad reviews, and having someone on the project that has worked on award-winning films, I wanted to know what was going on. With the screenplay written by Keel Murray, the same writer responsible for Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon, a film that actually did perform pretty well, I was even more confused as to why this movie didn't just take off. One of the reasons might be it was only released strictly on Apple TV, and with countless of streaming platforms nowadays, especially the new ones like Disney Plus, they seem to be pushing the older ones away like Apple TV and Netflix. That would be their first mistake, aside from the detailed poop jokes, with one reviewer saying, quote, "The farther down they go, the more the film ventures needlessly into a string of poop jokes, most of which are dumb, if not gross. It's here where Luck momentarily loses its distinctive Pixar vibe before regaining it with a thrilling finale in which Sam discovers luck is what you make it. It's a sweet sentiment, if not a tad trite, and the most random musical number that just didn't fit in this kind of film." The advertising was very forced, with the poster making sure people knew that John Lasseter was attached to this project. The characters were odd, from the dragon to the unicorn, that seemed to be inspired by Zootopia and Raya and the Last Dragon, as it was the same writer. A lot of times, however, people copy their work in terms of recycling characters that they have already thought of. Critics, of course, vary per film, as not every critic judges the same film. The reviews were very scattered, however, it's an equal amount of good versus bad. Another review from Mark Feeney from Boston Globe pointed out the odd parts of this film, saying, "One of the odd things about Luck is that it's at its most buoyant and charming in the everyday world, the one we know, rather than the fantasy world that the filmmakers have imagined. The liberation that you'd expect from Arrival on the Land of Luck doesn't happen. Dragons and unicorns and leprechauns are all well and good, and cavity-causing Candyland colors are pretty to look at, but they're also kind of tired and predictable. Maybe it's Bob's fault. Could black cats really be bad luck after all?" He brings up two good points here, the predictability and the visual of the land. One of the rules of storytelling is predictability equals lack of interest. The black cat was an ironic twist considering he was meant to be a lucky cat. Seemed a little contradicting to me for the story to make sense, which is probably part of another problem.
You flushed my panty down the toilet!
In a story, whether it's film, a book, or even a short story, is a beginning, middle, and end. The basics of a story from story format, this would be the industry standard of 3 different acts that focus on specific moments in the story. Starting from Act 1, this section of the story introduces the characters, who they are, and what they do. This is the only portion of the story they got right, and I'll tell you why. In Act 1, we get introduced to Bob, Sam, and Hazel. Hazel being a minor character, but still the main drive for Sam's goal. There's a clear goal of wanting to get Hazel adopted at some point.
Find a penny, pick it up,
and all day long you'll have good luck.
There's also what's known as the Exposition in the story. The events that took place when she has her first day at her apartment seem overly dramatic and the only portion of the film to be comedic. The introduction to these characters was simple. We learned Sam and Hazel are roommates and at the same time orphans. Sam ages out of the system, thus having to move into an apartment without having any set of skills as to what to do yet. She still is figuring it out. Even with this new life, she still doesn't want to leave Hazel behind, thus creating the drive for Sam to help Hazel even though she doesn't have a whole lot of power to do so. This is where Bob comes in and the second act starts happening. Sam can be a relatable character, which is what can catch your attention during the first act. However, that's the only only thing that is comparable and believable. Not only Bob being a contradicting character, but when Sam follows him after losing the first penny, the world of luck isn't really believable. Of course, an imaginary world would take some convincing to be, however, it just doesn't work. Not only does it have to be a goal driven by the main character, but a want versus a need. In Thor, he wants to be king, but what he needs is to learn humility and compassion. The drive for Sam's goal is personal and selfish at the same time, wanting luck for herself but knowing Hazel needs it the most. One of the contradicting parts within this story is after Bob loses his lucky penny he had attached to him. During the chase scene when Sam is trying to reach him, he walks around not paying attention to where he's going on umbrellas and jumping over a wall backwards to land on top of a moving car. And supposedly we learned that he was never lucky to begin with. He only was clarified lucky having the penny attached to the inside of his collar. The storyline of Sam and Hazel being orphans I feel like was tossed in there as an attempt at being relatable to some kind of audience. However, this wasn't the focus of the film. Some people even calling it a failed Pixar film, which actually makes sense. Lasseter even went ahead and put in a very Disney-known key of the A113 within the film, and casted what he calls his good luck charm and someone who has voiced in every Pixar film in history, John Ratzenberger. The fact that this is a children's film and that's their target audience makes sense. However, it has to make somewhat sense in the adult world too, and the fact that the premise of this film is to help a little girl get adopted purely by luck is not the message that should have been driven. When Sam gets introduced to the land of luck, she has trouble getting around, causing Bob to tell her there is no unlucky here. Lucky creatures don't try.
There is no unlucky here. Lucky creatures don't try.
I feel like this is the complete opposite of what message you're supposed to send to kids, even if the rules are in a fictional world. The second half of the act, which we are currently talking about, is where you cue the hero music and act in characters' arcs. Thanks to the personal reevaluation at the midpoint, the protagonist now gets it. The shift between Sam's wants and needs are very similar. She wants luck to be permanent, but needs to understand that it isn't strictly luck that will make her happy, nor Hazel be adopted. There are 6 parts to a character arc, one of which is the reevaluation phase where Sam has new tools to use to accomplish her want, which is knowing about the randomizer. The second one is trapping the character between the old lie, which is Sam believing she has to retrieve a penny for Hazel, and the new truth, which is having luck and unluck be balanced. A clear example would be from Toy Story. Woody has committed to the truth that he must rescue Buzz if he's to return to Andy, but the lie that fuels his jealousy and hatred of Buzz is still alive and well. He's not helping Buzz because he wants to, he's helping him because he has to. Moving on to the third is initiating the character's attempts to escape the effects of the lie. This is where Sam finds the dragon, Babe. She has a heart-to-heart with her and they agree on having luck 24/7, so at this point she hasn't had the realization. As far as the fourth is contrasting the characters before and after. In other words, the character should be put in situations that reflect back upon those in the first half. This could reminisce when Sam gets the penny, but Bob's position in the underworld is now threatened, so she must now choose. This is where the arc starts to take shape and the false victory starts to happen. The decision to turn off the randomizer makes Sam believe that without bad luck, Hazel will get her chance.
The randomizer. It smashes the crystals into lucky dust, then sends it randomly through the luck lines into your world.
She explains to Bob what a forever family is, which contradicts the power of luck, saying it's the people who are always there for you, no matter what happens.
Which is what exactly?
It's the people who are always there for you, no matter what happens. The ones who don't leave, they stick.
So this should mean Hazel doesn't need luck for her to find her forever home. Of course, this isn't the end of the story. Right before she leaves, the bad luck starts to overflow, causing Hazel to not get the meeting. Making a story out of good and bad luck seemed to be difficult for the writers and make it make sense. Trying to get audiences to believe a world where good and bad luck is created by random talking animals. The moral of the story is even if there is bad luck, you learn from it. When Sam attempts to fix the randomizer, Babe creates 3 stones and attempts to create pure good luck, and the exposition gets resolved in the worst possible way, persuasion and dialogue, by purely talking to Babe and convincing her that it wasn't a good idea. There should have been a stronger resolution with more action. The entirety of a conflict that lasts almost 2 hours shouldn't have been resolved within 5 minutes of dialogue. The attempt to connect luck with people close to you just didn't make sense at all. It truly doesn't feel like there was a real teachable moment here. Overall, the story is cute for a child, but there's nothing clear enough to take away, and some big plot points are missed or just breezed over quickly. Have you ever seen this film? I'm curious to know how into the movie you get when you're sitting down and watching a film that is supposed to take you out of this reality if you really focus hard enough.
Bob is your master.
Bye, Bye, Mom!